Alright, little recap on range results today. Day 3 with the 7mm PRC. So super excited about the results I got today. And I don't think the results I got today were due to fiddling around with the load, powder charge, anything like that. We'll talk about the load I used. Good load, but I think the biggest improvements I saw today, just finally being able to get down into that half MOA group territory, was not necessarily because of changes I made in the load, but I think I'm getting to know the rifle a little bit better. What I mean is, for those of you who haven't seen the other 7mm PRC videos, this is the Outlier barrel. On a Savage 110 pre-Accu trigger. This is the bull barrel. I can't remember if they call this MTU or bull barrel on this site, but again, it's got the Outlier muzzle brake, arc and scope. I only have one other braked rifle, so it's been every rifle that I own has been a learning experience as far as how the nuances of how to grip it, grip pressure, cheek weld, all those sort of things. So this rifle has been no different. So I started off shooting today, I'll show you the paper here in a second, using the shooting sling with firm cheek weld. This worked really well for me with my 223 from the last range trip I was out. What I've found though with light recoiling heavy rifles is things sometimes work in spite of what you're doing, not because of what you're doing. So again, with the muzzle brake, this rifle does not have a lot of recoil, but what I found worked really well with this rifle today, and I backed up that same technique with a muzzle brake less 6.5 Creedmoor. And if I roll in the shooting video of both the 7mm PRC and the 6.5 Creedmoor, the non-brake 6.5 Creedmoor actually has significantly more recoil than the braked 7.7mm PRC. So, results from today. Get in here and show these. So, with the shooting sling and firm cheek weld, didn't do too well, about an inch. Down here in this corner here, about 3/4 of an inch, using firm cheek weld but no sling, and then light cheek weld. And I did have a firm grip with the right hand, kind of thumb behind the safety of the rifle, and just kind of a light preload on the bipod. Got two back-to-back sub-half inch 3-shot groups. So there's a .4 something 3-shot group, and then up here there are actually 3 bullets. Got 2 through 1 hole and 1 right next to it. So 2 back-to-back sub-half inch 3-shot groups once I figured out how the rifle wanted to be handled. So super excited with that. So the load I used today, 180 grain ELD match, 63.5 grains of H4831. All of these loads on this particular piece of paper here were crimped. I'm not saying the crimping or the particular powder charge I used was what made the difference. I think this particular load would shoot across a range of powders. The first day I was out with the rifle, I had a sub-half inch, just a 3-shot group, but the rifle definitely had the capability. I was still kind of learning how to, trying to figure out if it was me, the load, the rifle, of why I wasn't quite getting what I wanted out of it, so, or the consistency I wanted out of it. So the other load I want to roll in here, and again, I shot this load here before I realized that the rifle did not like heavy cheek weld pressure, so one group just slightly under an inch, one group slightly over an inch with the 183 grain Sierra Match King. I'd like to retest this, knowing what I know now, using the same technique as these couple of these groups I shot here, where I was able to get the sub-half inch groups. So I think biggest takeaway from today is I found what works best for me with this rifle. I'm not saying the technique that I'm using works for everybody. There's a lot of different experts out there that all have their own take on how proper shooting should be done. And I've shot enough rifles, I think I have enough time behind a rifle to know that there can be little differences between rifles and shooters of what works for one person and what works for another person. So that's probably the biggest takeaway from today, but super impressed with the Outlier 7mm PRC barrel. One other interesting tidbit that I wanted to share here, with the 180 grain ELD-M, I was surprised to find with a completely smashed, broken off plastic tip, the point of impact, at least at 100 yards, did not change one bit. So I fired just one of my spare rounds that I had dropped from the previous range trip and ended up center punching the bullseye. Again, the bullet didn't even have a tip on it, so it did not appear to change the results at all. Another thing I want to show here, 6.5 Creedmoor, and again, on the topic of shooting technique, driving the rifle, and how just little tiny changes in technique have relatively large changes in groups, with that being the only variable. The only difference, there's a 1.3 inch group and then a sub half inch group with the 6.5 Creedmoor, same load. The only thing I did was I applied just a little bit of shoulder pressure with my left hand underneath the rear of the rifle as I was shooting, so I took up a little bit of the tissue space there, made the buttstock, compressed it into the tissue a little bit, rather than the looser group. The only tension I had was just a light preload, so whatever tension that created to preload the bipod legs a little bit was all I had into my shoulder. And interestingly, and I found this over and over and over after thousands of rounds of shooting, is that all these little things matter. And typically when I do load development, I never shoot just 3 and say, okay, that was a good or bad group, and move on to another powder charge. I'll usually find a well-known powder bullet combination, load up at least 12, maybe 20 of those, especially if it's a new rifle, a new setup that I'm not familiar with the sort of the baseline performance, and try different things behind the rifle to see what I can do to extract the most out of it before I start to change variables and start to associate maybe half a grain of powder with all of a sudden the group size change, when maybe I did something different from one shot group to the next shot group that could have had a much larger impact on the overall group size. So I will roll in some range footage from today. Super impressed with the Outlier barrel in 7mm PRC. Please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys want to see on this channel. If you have any experiences with 7mm PRC, load data, powders I should try. Super excited to try some other things here with load development, although I've hit that half MOA off of a bipod, so really happy with that. Going to try to get out and make some more videos doing some 1,000+ yard stuff. So anyways, thank you very much for your view. Thank you for your time. Alright, 22 December. Back to the 180 grain ELD-M loads with 5 grains of H4831. Get a new shot straight on here. Maybe. Okay, lab radar is set. Gotta get an arm. Okay. Alright, so 180 grain ELD-M, 63.5 grains of H4831, and I'm going to try without the sling this time. We'll go firm cheek weld, firm grip, and light preload into the shoulder pocket here. This will be lower left-hand corner of the target. $29.15. And if this two-shot group doesn't look great, I'll probably try a different, just switch to a different technique. I kind of want to give this rifle and load all the opportunities to kind of determine this. Again, me, rifle or ammo, it's the problem here. I shouldn't say problem, it's just, it's getting barely one MOA, maybe a little over with me shooting it here. $29.07, and the shots just 3/4 of an inch higher than the last one. Not terrible. See if I can hold together a 3-shot group here. And again, these loads are crimped. And I've tested this Lee factory crimp die with other loads, and I have not seen a detrimental effect in accuracy as long as it's a relatively light crimp. I might do a video on how I've set that up, but this load is shooting about the same as the last range trip. So with the non-crimped ammo, $29.29, and we probably have a 1-inch group down there, so I know these barrels are guaranteed for 1 MOA. Seems like about what I'm getting here. Alright, so we'll shoot another 3-shot group, lower right corner. So lower right corner will be same load, 180 grain ELD-M with light cheek weld and a firm grip. Try that combination here, see if cheek weld could be affecting stuff. And just a light preload on the bipod, so kind of light to moderate pressure in the shoulder pocket here. So far, sling versus no sling, I'm not seeing a difference. $29.27. And nice thing is, this barrel will give you 2,900 feet per second with no pressure issues, at least. So far all the testing I've done has been with H4831. Well, actually the military ball powder as well. Be interesting to try some different powders here on the next range trip. That'll be the next experiment. Alright, lower right hand corner, light cheek weld, firm grip. Okay, 29.07. Looks like it's holding together a decent group. Alright, so maybe light cheek weld is the ticket here. And again, these are crimped loads. So right now my cheek is touching, but I don't have any of the weight of my head on the stock. Just a light preload, using kind of firm counter pressure here between my thumb and my fingers. Okay, 2891. That looks like a very, very decent 3-shot group. They're all either in the black or touching, so I'll get a group size on that here shortly. All right, down at 100 yards. Just looking at some different groups here with the 7mm PRC. First group here, this was 180 grain ELD-M with H40 831, 63.5 grains. That's right at 3/4 of an inch. And that was with firm cheek weld, bipod, and a firm grip with the right hand, no sling. And then this little group right here, coming in right at 3/8 of an inch. And that was light cheek weld and no sling. And this one up here is right at 1 inch, and that was firm cheek weld, firm grip with the sling. So definitely a difference in how this rifle performs, obviously with how the shooter does behind it. So get another 3-shot group. Okay, so this rifle shoots. I'm the biggest variable between the load. I hate to admit that, but this rifle does seem to be sub MOA, even potentially sub half MOA. We just get more shots down range. Shoot another group here. Last 3 shots of the day with the 7mm PRC with 180 grain ELD-M, 63.5 grains, and I'll continue to get chronograph data here. All right, so what worked best down there was light cheek weld and a light preload into the shoulder pocket and firm grip with the right hand. Let's see if we can get one more good. And on a good note, here's the 3-shot group. And this one will be last 3 shots with light cheek weld. Firm grip with the right hand will be upper right hand corner of the target. Alright, here we go. $29.09. Point of impact's the same as the last group, so we're just on the lower left corner of that X here. Light cheek weld. Alright, right next to the other one. Fingers crossed. End of the note on a good group here for the day. Alright, here we go. And light cheek weld, firm grip with the right hand, light preload on the bipod. Let's see if this is the winner of the day. Into the shoulder pocket. Sweet. Alright, I think we did it. Fingers crossed for another half-inch group here. And that was, last shot was 29.13. Crank up the magnification here, see if we can... yeah. I think we got ended on a good note there. And we'll go check the group.